I have another strange experience to share in this video. This took place just a couple of hours ago. So I was outside with the cats, and suddenly in the field, there was this noise that sounded like a goat, but yet larger, and it was just to the back left of me, because I was facing toward the old road, and it was to my left in the dark part of the yard, the field down there. And all of a sudden it was like, that was really weird, but that's what it was like. It was really loud, but much louder, just like a Goatman. And I've heard that once before, back in 2012 or so, when all the other strange activity, stupid spam texts. No, Netflix is not on hold. This is just spam. Anyway, bunch of scams. There's a lot of scams going around, so please don't fall for those texts. I've reported them over and over to AT&T, and they haven't happened in a while. Now they're back, I guess. But anyway, the Goatman legend of Louisville, Kentucky. Now that would be north of here. I mean, we're in Tennessee, and this sound, I've heard it before, but many years back in 2011 or 12. Like I stated before, I can't remember the exact year, but it was around that time when all the other activities going on, and I discussed it. Many other individuals discussed it on topics. Then they removed topics, and all the discussions we had, there were over 500 conversations. They were completely removed. I wish I could have archived them or saved them, but I didn't. But anyway, I've heard that once before, and it sounded like a wolf and a goat in one. And it was right out. I opened the door just right on time to hear this. And that was, like I stated, 2011 or 12. 2012. And it was just like a large creature. And then it was cold, and it was winter at that time. And I remember there was about a couple of inches of snow on the ground. And so the next day, right at daybreak, I go outside and investigate, and I check, and there's hoof prints in the snow, walking from the yard where I heard that sound into the road and disappearing. And they don't match any tracks of anything else that I was used to. But this was allowed at that time, but also at the same time. I thought, what is that, a wolf with a goat in its mouth, or what's going on there? But no, that's not what it was. This was definitely something supernatural or interdimensional. I've heard other things go like, I've heard that on the hill, and cattle have gone missing in that area when that happened. I've heard creatures make all types of sounds. I've heard weird, strange camera click sounds, like I've heard computer sounds above me and around me. I saw these things watching me, and then you could actually hear the sounds. I saw this years ago. I saw this object when the dog disappeared, when Lizzie disappeared and then reappeared. And that object, it looked like it was just a round object with eyes all around it. Kind of reminded me of Ezekiel's wheel in the Bible. But it had these eyes all around it. But it wasn't following the other objects. And it sounded like a literal helicopter just taking off out of our yard, out of the field. But yet we couldn't see anything. And then it was a loud roaring. Just a loud roaring of like thunderous roaring of just helicopters, just a helicopter taking off many years ago. And that sound just lifted out of the yard, but yet the field, but there was nothing there to see. And that was right before I had heard the large, tall, probably 8-9 foot creatures go, or probably 9 or 10 feet above the building and slap it and go. They would spit at you and growl and just like that. Not bears either. Not that tall. And after that, I saw that object. When we came back home, we left and then came back home. The dog was missing again, a whole scenario. And I saw that thing just darting all over the place, and it didn't expect me to run after it. It was steady until I ran after it, and then it got confused, almost like it was an intelligence of its own, with eyes all around it, in a circle around the rim, around the edges, and all around the wheel itself. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. The wheel itself. I don't know how to describe it. It's like, in the metallic structure itself. That was horrible, but the metallic structure itself had eyes all around it, just, and then on top of that, the circle itself had eyes around it, and then eyes going this way and that way. It was something to see. I don't know how to explain it. Just eyes everywhere. And I ran up to it, and it was like it got bewildered and hit the pine tree and then took off and went and followed the others there were about 6 of them, and they had these stingers in front of them. But the objects, I can't do this, I can't do it justice. But the objects they were like drones, but yet this other object had to get up behind them. Just right there, get up behind them and just catch up to them, and then they were all heading to this area or a facility that in the hills, which I've shown before. And that was just, it was something to witness. And then the green scale appeared after Lizzie reappeared, and I said, "Return my dog now," which she's gone again. And yeah, and then I heard a loud crash, and then she was back that time. And there was a green scale left there where she was at, which has disappeared and reappeared many times. I've had proof of that on my channel. I can show you. You can look it up. Look up the green scale. But yeah, I wish more people could realize the things that I've experienced. Wish I could convey it in actual description where you could visually interpret it and mentally understand it. But that's impossible to actually get through and help you to comprehend. All right. You probably heard the cats outside, and the camera immediately said it detected a sound. But all right, yeah, that's just back to the not just all those other objects, but from the seemingly intelligent or AI or some sort of being or multiple eyes on this thing. Maybe it's like Ezekiel's wheel, where it's connected to the consciousness of God. I don't know, the creator source. But back to this weird goat sounding thing in the yard. One time it made a sound earlier, and years ago I've heard it before. It sounded like a wolf/goat. Some of these things, when you hear them, there's nothing else in life that can compare to the sounds of these things. You'll know when you've heard it. But was it a Goatman that I heard? What was it? I don't know. What do you think? Signing out. This is just one of many, well, Actually, there's several I shared in this video. So these are just a few of many of my personal experiences, and one from tonight. Signing out. Show support if you can. Leave a like, share, put your comments below. And thank you for being a part of my YouTube family.